Part 1. The Journey Begins. Jake and Emily were best friends, bound by their love for adventure. When Emily found an ancient map at a secret auction in Cairo, they knew they had stumbled upon something extraordinary: a lost pyramid, hidden deep in the desert, untouched for thousands of years. Legends whispered of a treasure buried within, but also of deadly traps and ancient curses. With excitement and a hint of caution, they packed their gear, rented a jeep, and set off across the endless dunes. The scorching sun beat down on them, and the shifting sands made their journey treacherous. After 2 grueling days, the landscape began to change. The soft dunes gave way to jagged rock formations, and on the horizon, a massive triangular structure loomed, its dark silhouette standing defiantly against time. As they drew closer, they noticed something strange. The pyramid's surface was covered in unfamiliar symbols, etched deep into the stone. Emily, an expert in ancient languages, ran her fingers over the carvings, frowning. "I've never seen anything like this before," she murmured. A strange, heavy silence filled the air, as if the very desert was holding its breath. Jake parked the jeep and scanned their surroundings. There were no footprints, no signs of human presence, just the unbroken stillness of an untouched ruin. "No one has been here for centuries," he muttered. Emily stepped closer, raising her camera to document the markings. But as soon as her fingers brushed against the stone, the ground beneath her trembled. A deep, rumbling noise echoed from within the pyramid, like the groan of a massive stone door awakening after millennia of slumber. The air grew thick with dust as grains of sand trickled from the cracks. Jake and Emily exchanged a glance, excitement and unease flickering in their eyes. Whatever lay inside had been sealed away for a reason, and now they had just unlocked it. Part 2. Entering the pyramid. The deep rumbling faded, leaving behind an eerie silence. Jake and Emily stood frozen, staring at the massive stone entrance that had appeared before them. A hidden doorway, once buried beneath layers of sand, had now revealed itself, its dark interior like a gaping mouth waiting to swallow them whole. Jake turned on his flashlight and stepped cautiously toward the entrance. "Well," he said with a nervous grin, "we didn't come all this way just to turn back now." Emily nodded, her excitement battling against a growing sense of unease. As they crossed the threshold, a wave of cool air greeted them, carrying the scent of dust and ancient stone. Their footsteps echoed in the vast chamber, revealing towering walls covered in more of the strange symbols. Emily raised her camera, snapping photos of the inscriptions. "This writing, it doesn't match any known ancient language. It's like nothing I've ever seen before." Jake ran his fingers over the carvings. "Then who built this place?" he wondered aloud. As they ventured deeper, their flashlight beams danced across the walls, revealing faded murals, scenes of people kneeling before a towering figure with glowing eyes. Beneath it, rows of golden artifacts lay scattered, partially buried under centuries of dust. Jake's breath caught. "Emily, this might be it. The treasure." But before they could step forward, a loud clank echoed through the chamber. The entrance behind them suddenly slammed shut, trapping them inside. Emily whipped around. "Jake, that wasn't the wind." A deep, unnatural growl rumbled from the darkness ahead. Something else was in the pyramid with them, and it had just awakened. Part 3. The Hidden Dangers. The heavy stone door slammed shut with a loud, jarring sound, and the air in the chamber grew heavy. Jake and Emily stood frozen, their flashlights flickering as the darkness seemed to close in around them. The only sounds were their quick, shallow breaths, and the distant, unsettling rumble that seemed to come from deep within the pyramid. Emily tightened her grip on her camera. "That wasn't just the wind, Jake. Something's down here with us." Jake's hand instinctively went to the revolver at his side, but he hesitated. They didn't know what they were up against, and firing blindly could make things worse. Instead, he motioned for Emily to follow, his voice barely above a whisper. "Let's move, slowly." They crept deeper into the pyramid's depths, the air growing colder with every step. The ancient stone around them seemed to groan and shift, and every shadow felt alive, watching them. The murals on the walls, showing a ruler with glowing eyes, felt almost like a warning now, as if they were being stalked by the very figures they had come to study. Emily paused, her eyes scanning the walls. "Jake, look at this," she said, pointing to a strange set of symbols. These weren't like the others, etched into the stone like the rest of the pyramid's carvings. These were fresh, almost burned into the walls, as though they had been scorched by intense heat. She leaned in closer. "It says, 'Those who seek the gold will awaken the curse.'" Jake's stomach dropped. The words felt like a direct threat, as if they had crossed a line they couldn't come back from. "Great," he muttered. "A curse. Perfect." Suddenly, the low growl echoed through the chamber once more, louder this time. It seemed to come from all around them. The ground trembled beneath their feet, sending a ripple of fear through their bodies. Emily grabbed Jake's arm. "We need to get out of here, now!" But before they could react, the darkness ahead seemed to shift. Two glowing eyes pierced through the shadows, cold and unblinking, locking onto them with an unearthly intensity. The figure that emerged from the darkness was tall and skeletal, its body wrapped in tattered remnants of ancient robes, its hands stretched out like gnarled claws, its mouth barely moving as it spoke in a voice like creaking stone. "You have disturbed my rest, and now you will pay the price." Jake and Emily froze, staring at the creature before them, trapped in the thick, suffocating darkness of the pyramid. Whatever this guardian was, it was ancient, far older than anything they had ever encountered. They had awakened it, and now they would have to face the consequences. Part 4. The Guardian's Curse. The creature's glowing eyes burned into Jake and Emily as it stepped forward, its skeletal form swaying slightly in the dim light. The air around them seemed to grow colder, and the once still atmosphere of the pyramid became suffocating, heavy with the weight of an ancient anger. Its voice, like the grinding of stone, echoed through the chamber. "Why have you come here? You who seek what should remain lost." Jake's heart raced as the figure moved closer, its long, twisted hands reaching out, scraping the stone floor with a sound that made their skin crawl. Emily instinctively stepped back, her breath quick and shallow. "Who are you?" Jake demanded, his voice more confident than he felt. "What do you want?" The creature paused, its glowing eyes narrowing. "I am the protector, the keeper of the curse. For millennia, I have guarded this place, waiting for those foolish enough to awaken it." Its voice dropped to a low growl. "You disturbed the treasure. You disturbed me." Emily's eyes widened. "The treasure? The treasure? What do you mean? We didn't come to steal anything." The creature tilted its head, studying them with a chilling gaze. "You did not come for gold, but you will leave with nothing." It stepped forward again, its movements slow and deliberate, like an ancient predator closing in on its prey. "We didn't mean to disrupt anything," Emily said, trying to keep her voice steady. We just wanted to explore, to learn." The creature's eerie, hollow laugh echoed through the stone walls. "You think knowledge will save you? Knowledge has a price, and you will pay it." Jake glanced around, looking for any sign of an escape, but the walls were smooth and unyielding, and the entrance was sealed. They were trapped, alone with this ancient force. Without warning, the Guardian's claw-like hand shot out, seizing Emily's wrist in an iron grip. She gasped, trying to pull away, but the creature's strength was overwhelming. It held her in place, forcing her to look into its glowing eyes. "You will not leave," it hissed, its voice dripping with venom. "The curse has been unleashed, and now you are part of it, forever bound to the pyramid." Jake reached for his gun, but as his fingers brushed the handle, the temperature around them plummeted. And a loud, deafening screech filled the air. The walls seemed to tremble, and the floor beneath them cracked open, revealing a deep, black pit. Emily's eyes widened in horror as she saw the pit. Dark, writhing shadows churned within, like an abyss hungry for their souls. The creature smiled, a twisted, mocking expression on its face. "Your souls will feed the pyramid," it said softly, tightening its grip on Emily's wrist. "You cannot escape the curse. You belong to this place now." Jake's heart raced, and he could feel the weight of the creature's words sinking in. They were trapped, in a place where time had no meaning, with no way out. They had unleashed something far darker than they had ever imagined, and now they would have to face the full wrath of the pyramid's ancient protector. In that moment, Jake realized that the treasure they had sought was never meant to be found. It wasn't gold, jewels, or artifacts. It was the curse itself. And now they were part of it. Part 5. The Struggle for Survival. The creature's skeletal hand tightened around Emily's wrist, its grip like iron. The air around them grew colder, and the dark pit beneath them seemed to grow deeper, its shadows swirling hungrily. Jake's heart raced, and panic surged through him. They were trapped. "Emily!" Jake shouted, his voice raw with fear. Without thinking, he drew his revolver, aiming it at the creature. But before he could fire, an invisible force slammed him back, knocking him off balance. The creature hissed, its glowing eyes never leaving Emily. "You think a weapon can defeat me?" it sneered. "I am the curse you awakened." Emily struggled, trying to pull away, but the creature's grip was unyielding. She reached into her backpack, her fingers brushing the cold flashlight, and with all her might, she swung it at the creature's arm. It hit with a sharp clang, but the creature barely flinched. It only tightened its hold. Is this all you have? The creature growled, its voice dripping with disdain. Jake's mind raced. There had to be something, anything, to help them. His eyes darted to the walls, the symbols, the murals. There had to be a clue hidden in the ancient carvings. Emily, he shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. Look at the walls, the symbols. Emily, still trapped, glanced at the walls, her mind racing. Then, her eyes fixed on something. On the murals depicting the ruler with glowing eyes. Beneath the ruler, there were symbols, small and triangular. In the center of the symbols, a broken circle was etched into the stone. It's a seal, Emily gasped, recognizing the pattern. It's a seal that holds the curse. Jake quickly moved to the wall, his fingers tracing the symbols. The stone was warm to the touch, and as he pressed against it, a low hum filled the air. Emily struggled to free herself as the creature snarled, sensing their growing connection to the seal. Jake, hurry, Emily cried, as the ground trembled beneath them. Jake pressed harder, and the symbols began to glow faintly, then brighter. The creature shrieked, its body writhing in agony as the seal activated. The walls of the pyramid trembled, and the ground cracked open beneath them. With a final surge of energy, the creature released Emily, its glowing eyes flickering out. It let out a bone-chilling scream, its form disintegrating into a cloud of dust. The curse that had held the pyramid together for centuries was breaking apart. Run, Jake shouted, grabbing Emily's arm as the pyramid began to collapse around them. The walls cracked, and debris rained down as the ancient tomb crumbled, trying to swallow them whole. They ran, their feet pounding the stone floor as the chamber around them disintegrated. Dust choked their lungs. But they didn't dare slow down. The entrance was close. With one final push, they reached the exit. The stone door that had once sealed them inside now lay shattered, the desert sunlight streaming through. They tumbled out into the open air, gasping for breath, their bodies covered in dust but alive. Behind them, the pyramid groaned and collapsed, its guardian vanishing into the abyss. Jake and Emily stood in the harsh desert light, breathless and shaken. They had come seeking treasure, but what they had found was far more terrifying than they could have imagined. As they looked back at the ruins of the pyramid, they knew they had narrowly escaped something ancient and powerful, something that would never be forgotten. Part 6. The Aftermath. The desert was eerily quiet as Jake and Emily stood in the shadow of the pyramid's ruins, their bodies still trembling from the chaos they'd just escaped. The once mighty structure had collapsed, reduced to rubble, as if the curse had taken it back. They stood in silence for a moment, each of them processing the terrifying ordeal. Emily was the first to speak, her voice low. What was that thing? Jake shook his head, still trying to make sense of it. I don't know, but it was ancient, older than anything we could have imagined. That curse, it had been guarding this place for millennia. Emily wiped dust from her face, still shaken. We were so close to the treasure. But the real treasure was the curse, wasn't it? It was never meant to be found. Jake nodded, his gaze sweeping over the ruins. We were lucky to escape. That thing wasn't just a guardian, it was the prison. A cold shiver ran through Emily. We were foolish. We thought we could uncover something that wasn't meant to be uncovered. The wind picked up, carrying the sand in swirling patterns around them. Jake let out a breath, tension easing from his shoulders. Yeah, we weren't ready for what we found. But it's over now. They stood in silence, the gravity of what they'd survived sinking in. They had come close to losing everything. We need to leave, Emily said, her voice steady now. I don't want to be near this place anymore. Jake didn't argue. He glanced at the pyramid one last time before turning away. No treasure, no riches, just the remnants of a forgotten civilization. They made their way to the jeep, the desert around them vast and still. The heat of the day pressed down, but it felt insignificant compared to the terror they had faced. As they drove away, Emily glanced back. Do you think anyone else will try to find it? Jake shook his head. Not a chance. And if they did, they wouldn't make it out. The jeep rumbled to life, and as they sped off into the desert, the pyramid disappeared behind them. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the sand. It's over, Jake said, looking over at Emily. Let's just go home. With the pyramid fading from view, they left the secrets of the past behind. They had come for treasure, but found something far darker, and both of them knew that some things were better left undisturbed. As the desert swallowed the last remnants of the pyramid, they drove on, the world beyond the sand stretching out before them, quiet and endless.